Well, I think we're really confident, and I think the fact that we've played in adverse environments before has obviously really encouraged us. I think the fact that we were able to come away with victories at Auburn and in the Georgia Dome twice, and you know, in Pasadena, although those sites being neutral crowds, they're still impactful, and the fact that you have to use silent count and things like that. So I think everyone's a little bit more confident in the fact that we've played big games on the road before, away from Bryant-Denny, and we've come away victorious in the past. So hopefully that should give us confidence leading into this week.
What do you tell the young guys? Is there any pointers you give them going on the road?
You know, not really. I think everybody handles road games a little bit differently. I think, you know, I'm obviously very glad that we had a road game this past week, although be it relatively neutral. As far as the amount of fans there, but just playing in a place that you're not used to. You're just out of your comfort zone a little bit, sleeping in different beds, sleeping, you know, dressing in a different locker room, things like that. So all those things kind of contributed. Not everybody has their little way of doing things before the game. So the fact that we were able to get out of our element a little bit this weekend, I think, should help us out down the road, and obviously prepare us for this week against Arkansas.
Greg, the execution by the offense in this game, how important is it in terms of helping out the defense? You know, because they're facing obviously a high-powered offense.
Well, I think it's really important. I don't think it's any more important than it is every week, though. I think the fact that the defense, they've come so far. I think the fact that they've really did a good job last week. You know, they made a couple plays on them, but I think Coach mentioned they went no huddle, which is a little bit difficult for those guys. I think, especially just communicating on the run like that. But they've done a great job, so we have a lot of confidence in those guys, and I think they all realize that they're no longer rookies after, you know, playing in 3 games. They need to step up and become veterans, and this is the opportunity to do so, and I think they're all looking forward to taking advantage of that opportunity.
Greg, we've heard you and several other guys talk about how you want to be the dominant program in the SEC. You want to dominate everybody in the SEC. Some might look at that as bulletin board material, but how important is it to have that mindset when you go into every game and you go into every battle in the league?
Well, I think that that's an important mindset for us to have, simply because we want to leave no doubt every time we step out on the field, and Coach has made that clear. You know, many times, both in the locker room and you know, before and after games, we want to leave no doubt. And now we want to be a dominant team in the SEC, and I think that having that mindset and wanting to be so dominant allows us to approach every game with a very focused mentality, regardless of our opponent, and allows us to focus into the fourth quarter. For example, as you know, against Duke, we were up pretty big, and you know, at halftime, but we still came out that next series and wanted to dominate, and we got points in the first series of the second half, and we continued to do so, and we won the fourth quarter, and all those things that we like to pride ourselves in. So being dominant, you know, some people might use it as a bulletin board material, but that's our mindset around here, and it's been pretty successful for us up to this point.
Greg, as the competition gets better, does that want to be more dominant? Do you feel it more? Like, do you get more excited about trying to show it?
Well, I think everybody gets a little bit more excited about competing on teams with a relatively level playing field. I think the SEC obviously is the class of the country, really, and I think we're all very honored and proud to be able to be a part of it. And the fact that we've had success in it the last couple of years isn't going to lead to success this year. So we have to work extremely hard this week and have a great week of work in order to be prepared for Arkansas.
How does a guy like Will Lowry motivate you to play harder on the field?
Well, Will, I think Will's become a fan favorite, first of all. So I think the great thing about Will is he's such a great story. You know, he comes here, he's from Hoover. He's obviously Hoover really personifies, I think, for a lot of the Alabama. A lot of people in Alabama, they personify, you know, winning, and that's what Alabama football is all about. And they've had a great program, they've had a great run, and Will, obviously coming from that program, he has that winning mentality. He has that championship caliber mentality, which is really encouraging because you know, you want to build your team full of winners, and Will is obviously a winner. So the fact that he's been able to kind of handle adversities, kind of get over the hump of being a walk-on and become a productive player on Saturdays is really encouraging for him. I know he's looking forward to continue to improve and continue to gain comfort within the defense.
Greg, Arkansas got a lot of preseason love by the media, and they're going to get a lot this week as well. Other teams would use that as motivation against them. You guys seem to be motivated by something else. Can you talk about that? It didn't seem like you guys are using that as a chip on your shoulder.
No, not by any means. I think you know, they garnered a lot of respect from the media and things like that for a good reason. They're a good team. I mean, they They had a great team last year. Their offense is very capable of scoring a lot of points, which is a great asset to have in the SEC. You know, that where usually games are won and lost by just a thin margin of points, but when they're able to be as explosive as they are, that makes things difficult for a lot of SEC defenses. And their defenses come along. If you watch them from this year to last year, they're a little bit more sound as far as the gaps that they play. They play a little bit more coverage as opposed to so much man-to-man. You know, they just do a good job kind of mixing things up. They used to be very one-dimensional. They're strictly kind of thinking back to 2008. They played a lot of man-to-man coverage. But this year, they're really kind of mixing it up. They have a few more tricks in their bag, and they're really throwing it at teams. So, you know, I just kind of use the Georgia game as a barometer because last year, you know, Georgia scored, I think, 49 points, or I mean, it was something ridiculous. And this year, they scored, you know, 24, and 14 of those being in the fourth quarter. So, you know, they did a great job against Georgia, and I think that their new additions, I think, as far as both personnel and defensive schemes, are really helping them out a lot.
Talk about you and Ryan Mallett. Both you guys play different roles on your teams, but both are very successful. Just contrast what you guys do for your team.
Well, I think Ryan's asked to do a little bit more. You know, I think from a repetition standpoint, obviously he throws the ball I mean, upwards of around 40, 45, 50 times a game. I know, you know, he puts up huge numbers, and you know, unfortunately for me, I have a lot of weapons at my disposal. So the fact that we do have such a capable running game, I'm not asked to do as much. It's, you know, he's a great player. He's had a tremendous amount of success, and I think he's had a great year up to this point. So hopefully our defense will have a great week of work and be prepared to face him.
Two more. One more. We're done.